Cordial greetings, classmates. Welcome to this debate where each of you will share the problem identified in the previous phase of the course. My name is Caroline Gomez, and I will be in charge of moderating this debate. You may introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Valentina Rueda.
Hi, classmates. My name is Sarai Bula.
Hi, my name is Esther María Estrada Ramírez.
Today, I want to start by sharing an important problem I have observed in the inbuilt class. Really, that impacts our collective learning has become evident. Many students feel fear and refuse to participate actively in the sessions. In the classes, the lack of participation manifests in various ways. We see cameras turned off, microphones muted even when direct, questions are asked, and scarce interaction in chats. Interventions are minimal, doubts are rarely expressed aloud, and the general feeling is of a virtual classroom where many prefer to remain silent, observing from a distance. And if we ask what could be behind this reluctance, the answer is that in the virtual environment, insecurity and self-doubt seem to be amplified. The fear of a technical failure, of being interrupted, or even of the perception of our personal environment can generate anxiety. The lack of direct eye contact and the dynamics of online communication could also contribute to a lower sense of security to express oneself. Perhaps some fear that their question will be considered basic by their peers or feel greater pressure knowing that their interventions could be recorded. This lack of participation has significant consequences for our learning. Value of opportunities for debate, for clarifying doubts in real time, and for building knowledge collaboratives are lost. Silence limits immediate feedback from the teacher and makes it difficult for him or her to identify the areas where we need more support. Ultimately, a passive virtual classroom can lead to a less profound understanding of the topics and a less enriching learning experience for everyone. You can continue, Sarai.
Okay. My problematic is this proposal is response to identify using with virtual English. Virtual English learning environments where students show limited oral participation. This situation poses and barrier to the development of communicative competence, particularly is there of the speaking skill, which are essential for mastering and foreign language. Considering the cognitive and social and emotional, cultural, and contextual factors that influence language acquisition, this project aims to design and implement a series on interactive activities that encourage oral participation in virtual English class. The proposal focus on creative, safe, dynamic, and collaborative space that motivates students to express themselves orally with greater confidence and fluency.
Let's continue, Esther.
Okay. Uh, One of the most common problems I be observed during virtual English class is the lack of active participation among some students. Although platforms offer interactive tools, many students are reluctant to participate in live discussions. But why does this happen? One of the main reasons is anxiety. Speaking in a second language can be intimidating, especially when you are not face to face with others. Students fear making mistakes or feeling judged, which creates an emotional barrier that prevents them from actively participating. And it's not just anxiety, lack of motivation also plays a role. In a virtual environment, a student might feel disconnected and disengaged as they don't always have the same personal interaction as in a face-to-face class. This can make them less inclined to speak up, especially if they don't see a safe space where their contributions are valued. Continue, Valentina.
Okay. During the observation of the IMB cases, I was able to determine a problem that have a negative impact on English learning. This consists of the lack of oral communication and the low level of active participation from the students. In most cases, the situation tends to occur due to fear of making mistakes or shyness. Many students have limited space for learning English, which mistake mastering the language difficult and the necessary strategies are not available. It must be taken into account that oral communication is essential for transmitting ideas, emotions, and knowledge through a spoken language. It goes beyond simply producing sounds. It involves the ability to organize that, use appropriate vocabulary, modulate the voice, and use non-verbal resources to achieve effective communication. Therefore, it's important to find the necessary tools and mechanisms to improve students' oral communication, stimulate their active participation through motivation, and promote self-confidence.
Okay. Um, Taking the above into account, I propose that as a group we focus on the problem identified by Sarai in the previous phase because it generally encompasses what the rest of is also identified. The lack of participation in classes, which negatively influence students' performance and learning. Based on this problem, I want to ask you the following question. A or one. What innovate English learning activities do you propose to address the identified educational challenge? What do you think, Esther?
Okay. Innovative activities. Debates and discussions promote the exchange of ideas in small groups to practice speaking, role plays, Activities where students take on roles and simulated real life situations to spontaneous practice English. Creative presentation. Uh, Students create and tell stories or present projects in English. Peer feedback. Students record and evaluate their speaking to improve.
Okay, what do you think, Valentina?
Okay, to address this issue, I propose designing activities that improve the use of different digital tools. Scientists have many features that allow students to increase their motivation to participate orally. One innovative activity could be the creation of a video diary where students can share what happened during the previous week, including the places they visit, what they did, ate, or felt.
Okay, what do you think, Sarai?
Okay, the first to increase students' oral participation in virtual English class, I propose activities that are interactive and meaningful. For example, role playing, real life situation like ordering food or working in an hotel room. Using video platforms where students can record and respond to each other. I also suggest creating cultural exchange circles where students share personal experience or tradition in small groups.
The question would be, what a specific resource, including digital tools and materials, do you propose to use to support the implementation of the proposed activities? What do you think, Sarai?
Okay, for these activities, I will use Flickr to allow students to record their speaking tasks, Padlet for brainstorming and collaboration, and platforms like Zoom or Teams for like group interaction. I would also include authentic materials like videos, short stories, songs, and infography to make the task more engaging.
Esther, what specific resource, including digital tools and materials, do you propose to use to support the implementation of the proposed activities?
Okay, tools and resources. Zoom, Google Meet for video conferencing and live discussions. Flygrip for flexibly recording conference and sharing of oral responses. Kahoot live quiz games for interactive practice. Spiking LC Speak speech recognition tools to improve pronunciation.
Okay, what do you think, Valentina?
Okay. To implement this activity, I propose using digital tools like Vocaro, where students can record audio and practice pronunciation. Additionally, Padlet could be used to compile the videos and keep a sequence of them.
The question C or 3, what methodologies do you propose to use to evaluate the impact of your proposed activities on language learning outcomes? And what do you think, Sarai?
I will use a formative and SEMS approach, which focus on observing student progress during in the activities. These include checklists and self-assessment forms and teacher feedbacks after each task. It also uses rubric to evaluation oral fluency, pronunciation, vocabulary use, and interaction. This way, students feel support and give, and the focus stays on improving rather than use guaranteeing a grade.
Okay, what do you think, Esther?
Okay, assessment methodologies. Formative assessment. Continuous feedback on oral interventions. Self-assessment and peer assessment. Encourage personal reflection and feedback from peers. Pre and post-intervention surveys. Measure progress in oral participation and confidence.
Valentina, what do you think?
The methodology I propose for evaluating the impact of this activity could be self-assessment, through which a student can reflect on their own progress and identify areas for improvement. In addition, the teacher in charge can provide feedback to the students.
Okay. After listening to each of the interventions, we can conclude that. In conclusion, during the observation of the inbuilt classes, it was identified that the lack of oral participation is one of the most evident problems among students. The fear of making mistakes combined with a limited level of English and a lack of self confidence creates a significant barrier to their active participation. Furthermore, anxiety and lack of motivation despite the interactive um, tools offered by the platforms reinforce the reluctance of many students to participate in live discussions, which negatively affects their development of communicate skills, especially regarding the oral skills necessary to master a foreign language. This overview highlights the urgent need to create an inclusive and motivating environment that allows all students to feel comfortable and safe when expressing themselves in their second language. Therefore, the objective would be to design and implement interactive activities that encourage oral participation in virtual English classes by considering the cognitive, social, emotional, cultural, and contextual factors that influence language acquisition. The aim is to create safe, with a dynamic and collaborative space that encourage students to express themselves with greater confidence and fluency. In this way, the goal is not only to overcome fears and emotional barriers, but also to improve the learning experience and the mastery of oral communicative skills. Thank you all for your valuable contributions. It has been a pleasure sharing this space with all of you. Until the next opportunity. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay,
Thank you. Bye.
bye.